Hello, everybody, it's me. Well, you don't know who I am, but well, as you can see in down below, it's called Gratify What Ifs. I'm a new YouTuber and I'm kind of new to this thing, so forgive me if I make some rookie mistakes. Anyway, if you like what I'm going to do right now, it's called What If Deku Had Luke Cage's Powers, Part 1. Well, do me a favor and hit that like button and the subscribe button. It'll actually mean somewhat a lot to me because, well, I'm doing this for fun, but it'll also be nice if people actually like my content. So, well, without further ado, let's get into the video. Anyway, this all starts off very normally. Deku, as a little kid, just starts seeing All Might save people. He's such a fanboy of All Might until he just says, when I grow up, I'm going to become a hero just like All Might. I'll use my quirk to save everybody, just like him. Oh boy, how he was so wrong. Anyway, they went to the quirk doctor, and as he guessed it, he just said, I'm sorry, little Izuku, but you can't become a hero. This devastates Deku. And then Inko is like, what do you mean cannot be a hero? Well, as you can see here, as he pulls down a diagram, your son is actually quirkless. He will never be able to develop a quirk. See this here? It's an extra pinky toe in his joint. He can't really... Anybody that has this joint is proved to be quirkless. While those that don't have this joint are actually quirked. So, sadly, Izuku can never become a hero. And through this revelation, Inko's perception of his son changes. As in, she's pretty cold to Deku now. She's no longer best mom of all anime. No more. Nope. If she will barely give a damn about Deku, she will barely cook him any food, barely give him any compliments, picking up from school, yada yada yada. So Deku, well, he begins to, toughen up from this experience. It was hard, but he just knew that he had to live with it. Now, Inko was cool, but I'm not going to say to the point where she will, get arrested for child abuse, but she just, I have this thing, so I'll just take care of it so that I don't get into trouble. And, as you guessed it, she did exactly that. No feeding, no talking, no encouragement, no. In fact, she won't even call him my baby Izuku. She'll just say, hey, you, get over here, or any of that. She won't even call him on a first name basis. And in fact, because of this, Sasashi, his father, left them. So yeah, Izuku pretty much toughens from this experience. And as he's quirkless, Izuku is still bullied by Bakugo and the others. One day, Bakugo and his goons bully a kid, and Izuku steps in front of them saying that, hey man, just leave this kid alone. He did nothing to you. And then Bakugo is like, what can a quirkless loser like you do about it if I do actually beat him up? What? Do you think that you're gonna beat me? Please, you're useless, and society does not need useless people like you. In fact, I actually like that name, that word useless. So, I'm just going to be calling you Deku. Huh? And then as he's saying this, he pushes Deku with an explosion. And then this kind of injures him and knocks him out. And then he is taken to the nurse and he is healed up and then begins walking back to school because, like I said, Inko doesn't really pick him up. And it was raining. Yep. 5-year-old child walking through the rain. Pretty sad. Anyway, he's jumped by two goons in grey hoodies. And then one of them grabs him by the neck and he's like, what the hell are you two doing to me? Let me go. Let me go. As the other goon injects a sedative into him, knocking him out cold. And then it is revealed that those two in gray hoodies were actually low and normals. Like those things that you saw in Wholesale City, just no wings, none of that, just gray. And like I said, hoodies covering their faces. So with that, Deku wakes up in, well, a confinement of glass. He doesn't know what to do. And then, well, a strange figure appears in front of him. It's all for one. Yup, he was kidnapped so that he could be experimented to become a normal or be subjected to God knows what else kind of experiments. Anyway, he's not the only one, as All for One just snaps his fingers. Well, he doesn't actually tell this to Deku that he's not the only one, because the windows are soundproof from both ends so they can't hear each other. And then, well, Deku is like just scattering around, and then, well, All for One just pressing his hands on the calm next to his glass, because, well, he has to communicate with them some way. And it says that, oh, don't worry, you're not the only one. As he snaps his fingers and the lights on the corridor shine, as he sees other people in this corridor trapped like him in a glass in a rubber room. Yep, it's one crazy hell like that. All for One doesn't actually say this, is just something that I said. So All for One just says, so get comfortable, because I promise you're not going to be living here alive. And then All for One just removes his hand from the intercom and then just leaves, snapping his fingers, turning off all the lights, and Deku does not see anybody else again but just pure darkness staring at him in the face. So Deku, well, he doesn't exactly cry from this or anything, but he is still somewhat devastated because of his quirk. Because he doesn't have a quirk, his mother became cold. Because he didn't have a quirk, his only friend Bakugo basically betrayed him. Because he didn't have a quirk, these people are just capturing him. And, well, he still decides to toughen up from this. Because, well, he has to, otherwise he's just going to die. That's the way it is. The strong survive, while the weak perish. And mind you, Deku is 6 years old when this happens, so he mastered those lessons real quick. So he's stuck in this prison, and I'll say that it's like an abandoned prison transformed into a warehouse. Like it was abandoned somewhere in the city, and All for One turned it into a warehouse for experimentations. So nobody is really out. Also, there was old prison uniforms, so that's what they usually clothed them in. And the guards there are usually low end or mid end normal, so nobody could really escape, because, well, if those things could, well, mostly not because of the low ends, but mid ends, because most of those things are kind of like the ones that face All Might. All of them have strength, while some of them either have shock absorption or regeneration or just tough skin. So anyway, Deku lives like this for like five more years until he's 11. And as the years are passing by, he discovers that more and more people from these cages disappear. As well, and he discovers that sometimes most of these people from those cages that he sees, because sometimes the corridor lights do on, he just sees them being dragged away. And then, well, he never sees their faces ever again. And then he just decides that, and then he just sees, and then he said that when those guys come, it might be my only chance to escape from here. At least that's what he thinks in his mind. So anyway, most of them just disappear until it's finally his turn as an 11-year-old. And then they start to drag him away. And then this is when the enacts his plan. Turns out that while he was in that place, he taught himself how to fight. So he just dragged his arms from those normals, kicked them behind in the knees so that they'll fall down, and then began to run. I said run. Wow. I meant run. And then he's running and then running and then running. And then he takes a left, he takes a right, he takes a left, he takes a right. Until he finally reaches a doorway. He opens it and it's a giant experimentation room. Like a giant surgery authorization place. Like, how do I put it? Like those that have played Batman, Arkham Knight, or Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you know that one level where the doctor is like in this giant auditorium performing surgeries? Yeah, that's where Deku is. Except, well, the auditorium is empty, and, well, the platform, there is not really a platform where people are put on, but instead, this. So, this big giant thing. And then, well, a bunch of the normals come behind the door, and then, well, it turns out that this is where they wanted him all along. So there was actually no escape from this place. They said that this is one of the most harshest experiments that they could even do. Worse than being turned into a freaking normal. And then bunch of the normals just grab onto Deku and then strap him onto this giant machine. And then they just lock him in there. And then, well, he just starts bubbling. And then he just starts shaking violently. And he's shaking, and then shaking, and then shaking, and then shaking, until, well, the gas tank breaks. And then he is somehow still alive. Out of all of the test subjects that were there, he was the only one that survived, which was pretty goddamn amazing. In fact, the Quirk Doctor, well, went to go spot that. All for One and a bunch of the officers that were looking over the wells for All for One, including the Quirk Doctor, were pretty impressed. And because it turns out that they finally found somebody that was successful. Now they can transform that person into the ultimate normal. And then through the intercoms, the doctor says that they should restrain Izuku. And then Izuku will, like I said, he won't go down with a fight. He takes upon a stance and then punches one of the normal. And, well, this is a low and normal. And then the thing just, well, hits into the concrete. And then Deku just looks at his face and is like, I've never punched that hard before. And then the other one tries to grab him, and then he just breaks free and then judo flips him into the ground, breaking the concrete. He's like, never done that before either. What the hell did they do to me? He thinks this in his mind. And then before he could think any further, he decided that he needed to get out of there because more of them will start coming. And then he begins to take haste. He just starts running again and again and again, except the difference is that, well, any normals that come near him, he manages to either dodge them or slam them into the concrete wall. And then he runs into a bunch of the normals. Like, when I say a bunch, I mean a bunch. He's not going to be able to take any of them down. And then, right next to the wall Deku was with, like, the gap between him and that army of normals to stop him was like 50 feet, and the corridor was lit, so he was able to see them. So in between that 50 feet, that's when the wall just burst open, led by All Might and a bunch of other pro heroes such as Midnight, Aizawa, Endeavor. You get the drift. And so, well, they just begin to be battling the normal. And All Might begins battling All for One on the rooftop. And this is where he actually gets injured by All For One. Deku, in the midst of all this, also helps them too. And then until all the normals are defeated, one of them starts asking who the hell this kid is. And then Deku is all like, my name is. But before he could answer that, well, one of the heroes, what's his name again? Night Eye decides to like call on the hero that was interrogating Deku, which was Aizawa, asking him who the hell he was, and also Aizawa to come with him that he needs some help, that Oma has been injured and one of the villains got away. And then Deku is following them and then sees that Oma got wrecked. Like, he's just wrecked. Half of his organs are gone, bro. And then he just decides to follow them more. And then they were able to take him away, heal him up. And then he has that talk with Night Eye again, and then just leaves. Aizawa also takes interest in Deku and then asks him what was they doing here. And then Izuku just responded with all the questions, told them how he was captured here when he was 5 years old, except 5, 6 years old, and then told him about all the other people here. And then Aizawa asks him, do you know where these other people are? And then he said, they are not here. And then Aizawa was like, what do you mean they're not here? Did they get moved to another facility? And then Izuku just looks at him saying, no, because they're all dead. I'm the only one left. And then he's like, so what did they do to you? Izuku just looks at his hands and he remembers how he was able to easily pound one of those lower end normals into the wall. And then he just says, I don't know. And this actually does go live apart from All Might's injury, because we can't let the symbol of peace look like a weaklings, can we? So Izuku Midoriya does get popularity, but his mom, Inko, they actually discovered some of the bad shit that she was doing. So she is just gone. Like, she's just taken to prison. She discovered that most of the reasons why Izuku wasn't captured was because she wasn't properly taking care of her child. Now, I know that I said in the beginning that she won't just be that cold to the point where she might actually get, arrested, but because Izuku was kidnapped due to her negligence, I'll say that she still gets arrested because of that. But if she was never captured, she would have never been arrested. Anyway, Mitsuki takes Deku in because, Deku can't just be raised in an orphanage. And then Deku, he gets reunited with Bakugo, and then Bakugo still calls him a weakling, and then Deku just looks at him saying that, I'm not a weakling anymore, Kachan. What I went through there, what I've been, that hell that I finally escaped through, changed me in more ways than one. I am no longer some person's punching bag. I am going to become a hero. These things that those people did to me, I'll use it against them and fight for what's right. And there's nothing you can do that will stop me. It's like, we'll see about that. And this is why I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So this was my very first ever YouTube video. Thank you all for coming, and before I leave, I want to say that don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button if you like my content. And remember, this is just my first video, so if I made some mistakes or anything, point them out in the comments. So thank you all for coming, and I'll see you in the next part.